Kinah b'chiyah b'tzion u'mispein
Yivkeyun. Some of the versions of this Kinah that we say on Tisha B'Av have to do with the village that's behind me. It's now known as the Arab village of Beitar, but this is the original Beitar, the town that was so important for the Bar Kokhba revolt, the 5 years, close to 5 years of freedom of Judea from 132 to about 136. This is the last stand of the Bar Kokhba revolt, and the destruction of Beitar is one of the 5 things that shows that Tisha B'Av is still today a day of mourning. You can see the ancient terracing on the hills. Unfortunately, I can't take you there. Israel gave this up to the Palestinian Authority as part of the Oslo Accords. There are ancient terracing on the hills, Jewish ancient terracing of our farmers. There are still the remains of the final battle with the Romans, ballista balls, and all kinds of weaponry that are laid out. This place was dug. We understand what happened here. What I'm showing you here today, though, is why this was so important to Bar Kokhba, the location. We are at the confluence of roads that come up from the valleys and lead into Yerushalayim. There's a narrow gorge that leads from here into Yerushalayim, where today's Biblical Zoo is, and Ein Yael, ending up in the Malcha Technological Park. It's not by happenstance that Bar Kokhba is here. He's trying to get into Yerushalayim. He's trying to get Yerushalayim, to liberate Yerushalayim back for the Jewish people, and of course, ultimately rebuild the Beit HaMikdash, which had been destroyed 65 years before. So the revolt against the Romans initially succeeds, eventually fails for many reasons. One of them has to do with the old Roman road that was found down in the valley, lots of Roman milestones as well. This was actually a very key point in coming to Jerusalem or leaving Jerusalem. A story that's told in Gittin about one of the Caesar's daughters who's coming up with her entourage, and they break an axle, and in order to fix it, a tree is randomly cut down in order to fix her wagon that she can be on her way. But that tree was meant for one of the grooms. There was a custom in the day to plant a tree for a boy, a tree for when a girl is born, and then when they were married, their 2 trees were cut down and made their chuppah, made their wedding canopy. And they did not realizing they cut down the tree of a young Jewish man who was about to be married, and he and his friends got very, very upset and attacked the convoy, which escapes, but word gets back to the Caesar that the Jews are rebelling in Beitar, and that is one of the reasons that's given. And so we have here an issue that I think still holds for us today. You can't just do what you want, even if you're offended, even if something bad happens to our honor or to Judaism or to Israel. You have to think about the bigger picture of what you're doing. And so they were upset with the Caesar's daughter, but in the end, it becomes part of a bigger picture, and the Romans destroying Beitar. There's other reasons as well. The bodies were left here for many years. They say blood flowed here up until the knees of the horses, and the bodies weren't allowed to be reburied for a long time. They say one of the miracles is that the bodies didn't decompose. There's a lot of tragedies associated with Beitar. It's understandable why on Tisha B'Av we would have the Kinah for it. And here in Israel now, we can look, we can see the place, we can understand the backdrop of the Bar Kokhba revolt and the tragedy that happened here. And I hope that one day we'll actually have the freedom and not the fear to be able to go into this village and to see the remains of what happened to our forefathers, and more important than that, to learn the lessons of some of what they did right and some of what they did wrong.